welcome to one of our first editions of Hive Energy Hive Hub. And I'm joined today by Gabrielle Nikora Baker, who Gabrielle is the founder of GNB Health and Fitness, and is fresh off the back of a weekend Hyroxing in Sydney. So welcome, Gabby.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Thanks for coming along. Hey, can you tell us a little bit about how your background first of all, and how you started the GNB Fitness, Health and Fitness?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like I've had a bit of an all over the shop health and fitness journey. I got into the gym probably in my early 20s, just out of wanting to be skinnier, and I feel like Victoria's Secret models were all the rage. I'm now in my 30s, so it's showing where I am in my age, and just purely going to the gym because I just wanted to be toned and skinny. I did a lot of running, cardio machines, group fitness classes, a little bit of weights, and then someone approached me and said, "You have quite a great physique, you should try bodybuilding," which was actually a terrible idea because I was very new and had no experience, no muscle. So I decided to do a bodybuilding competition, was dieting on probably 1,100 calories for 14 weeks, lost a lot of weight when I was already quite small, gave that a go, and ended up rebounding and building quite a bad relationship with training and nutrition in myself, and it was just not a good place to be in. So I feel like I've gone through quite a few different stages of that, and then really fell in love with performance-based goals and actually improving yourself through your nutrition and doing hard things. I was also a flight attendant in that era, which was quite an interesting job due to the lack of routine and the diversity and just places you go and hours and people you come into contact with, and that in itself was a very, very, very interesting time. Definitely served its purpose, but I also saw how sort of unhealthy it was and just the lack of stability, and I was really still into my health and fitness at the time and thought, let's give this whole PT thing a go. I know it's not the most stable job initially because you work in a gym and you have to pay rent and build your clientele, but it was pretty much the only thing I was really passionate about. So yeah, just using all of my experiences through competing and having a bad relationship with food and my job at my previous job, I thought I can probably help a lot of women get to a great place within themselves. So became a PT. So I was living in New Zealand at the time. That's where I'm initially from. And then after 2 years of working on the gym floor in New Zealand, I decided to move to Melbourne just to see what else was out there. Sort of felt like I'd outgrown Wellington, where I was living at the time. Just wanted to see what was across the ditch, and sort of moved over, re-established my business. COVID happened, unfortunately, which, looking back, it kind of was a blessing for my business because it took me out of the gym floor online, where I've really been able to grow and just have more of an impact and help women. And I guess it's 5 years later since COVID happened. It's been in my business more and more, so GNB Health and Fitness, where I predominantly help women with their training, nutrition, and just feeling fantastic. So that's my really quick, probably past 10 years in a 2-minute spiel.
In a nutshell. Wow, yeah, that's quite the journey you've been on, and I'm sure that your story will help a lot of others along the way. So tell us a little bit about what got you involved with Hyrox, and what's your experience been like competing internationally, because they're all over the world now, and you've recently been to Chicago.
Yes. So I got approached by a friend. It was New Year's in 2024, and asked if I wanted to do Hyrox with him. I previously had come from sort of a CrossFit group fitness background, so I was really fit, and then COVID happened and I just decided I liked lifting weights and was over that style of training. So I had virtually no fitness. My only fitness was probably walking my dog and maybe doing some walking lunges in the gym because that gets your heart rate up. So I was very, very unfit, and I thought, you know what, it's New Year's, let's set a New Year's resolution, let's get fit, because I used to be fit. Let's try something new. So I agreed to do Hyrox and got into training. That would have been sort of January, February. And then I picked up my training for the June competition, which was in Melbourne last year. So I had about maybe 4 months to train for that. We did our first race and I think we got like 13th out of 500 teams. So we still actually did relatively well. And I definitely wouldn't consider myself very fit looking back then to what I am now. And I just really enjoyed it. I was like, wow, this is amazing. It also combined sort of strength elements and being quite explosive in the running side of things. And we just wanted to keep doing them. So we ended up doing another 2 races together. We had our last one in December. And then I ended up doing a race with a friend. We ended up qualifying for Worlds in the Elite 15. And that sort of kicked off the whole working towards the Chicago journey and seeing that, oh, actually, I'm quite good at this.
Mm-hmm. And Chicago wasn't obviously without its challenges either, by the sounds of it.
No, Chicago was very interesting. Lots of challenges. It was not straightforward.
So I guess for you it's a little bit easier, but how do you go about balancing a business and competing at such a high level?
Yeah, it's definitely not a walk in the park. I would say I'm fortunate because I do work for myself, so I do have that flexibility with my hours, but it is very, very full on. I find I don't have a lot of spare time, but I also choose this lifestyle, and I still feel very privileged to be in this position of having so much on and business doing really well, and also my own goals. So I'm very much a just to-do list person. Every single day has a giant to-do list. I get through it. It usually bleeds into the weekend, which is not great. So I tend to not have much downtime or not have sort of much weekends or a life, but I genuinely love and enjoy it, and I don't feel like it's a burden. And I also just know it's a season I'm in, and it's not forever. It's not going to be for the rest of my life. It's not permanent. It's just for now.
Yeah, make the most of it. So talk us through like what a typical training week for you leading into Hyrox looks like.
Yeah, good question. So if it's actually the week of Hyrox, training is pretty chilled because you want to be a bit more rested. So you are still training and doing a lot of your normal sessions, but they're just shorter or less intense. So the week of a race is quite relaxing. It almost feels weird. It's like, oh, I need a 30-minute workout instead of
tapering down.
Yeah, that's it. It feels actually very weird. But on a typical normal week, I would usually do a couple of double sessions. So it might be like a running component sort of session in the morning, and then it might be followed by a strength or Hyrox style conditioning session later in the evening. Definitely don't train twice a day every day, maybe 3 or 4 days of the week, might have double sessions. It's also just sort of how it works out with my lifestyle and work and what I can dedicate time for. But yes, I'm probably training 6 days a week at the moment, mixture of running, strength, sort of Hyrox specific stuff. So it is full on. It does take up a decent chunk of time, but it's all good things.
Yeah. And what's your approach towards nutrition within those training cycles?
So I am a huge fan of fueling yourself correctly. I feel like if you are under eating and also trying to perform at a high level and getting your body to try and do all these amazing things, you truly do have to align your nutrition. If you, for example, go out for a big pizza feed one night and then you've got a treadmill interval session the next morning, you're going to feel disgusting. You're going to feel bloated, you're going to have a stitch. You might even spew. So you really do have to make sure you are aligning your nutrition just to get the most out of things, and you feel so much better for it. And I don't know if you've ever done a hard workout before, but when you are mid-session, it's like, oh, the thought of eating a big greasy meal right now, like, no, I simply could not. And you just want to be correctly fueling yourself because you do get more out of it and your body responds and keeps you healthy, keeps your immune system functioning and all the rest.
Yeah. So you're qualified in both nutrition and mindset. So how do you see these two kind of complementing each other?
Good question. I feel like the mindset side of things is often where a lot of people go wrong just because they have quite a bad relationship either with themselves or with foods, or they try to be too perfect all the time. So I find when you can just really sort of work through your headspace or what's happening, you sort of allow yourself a bit more grace if things do pop up in life. For example, if you're having a bad day and then you end up maybe eating a little bit too much chocolate, doesn't mean you're a bad person. It just means that you've had a bad day, and instead of working through that bad day another way, you've used food as a tool. But also food tastes good. It makes you feel good for a second, and you're just I guess kind of falling into a natural human response. I find when you can really work through that and either come out the other end maybe with another healthy coping strategy later down the track, it's just going to prevent these situations. But yeah, mindset's honestly huge. It'll make or break your success with anything you're doing, whether it's Hyrox business, relationship with food, fueling yourself.
Yeah. And what are some of the common mistakes that you quite often see Hyrox athletes doing in their competitions? Some of the basic mistakes.
Sort of more around food or the training side of things?
Around the nutrition.
Yeah, probably say a massive one, especially with women, is under eating. Often they are chasing a sort of more fat loss goal, or are stuck in a sort of diet culture mentality, and they're just trying to eat as little as possible and train fasted. And it's just so hard to, just improve your sessions. And even on race day, if you're coming underfueled, you're probably going to pass out or just feel dizzy. I'd probably say underfueling is the worst, or a top common one, or maybe even people copying what other people do. They might see that, oh, this person eats like this on their race day, or prior to their race day, and they'll try and copy them, but because they're new foods that they've never tried before or their body doesn't agree with, you might not end up digesting them well or having good energy for race day. So probably say those two, or maybe even just incorrectly timing your nutrition. So if you're not eating at the correct times throughout the day, can impact your training sessions and recovery. So probably say those are the main three.
Yeah. And so for your own fueling during training and races, what are your go-to strategies without giving away too many winning secrets?
Yes, I actually, by Sydney race I just did, actually planned on having a gel for the first time during the race, but I just completely forgot to have it. I crossed the finish line, I was like, oh, my gel's still on my top, doing my solo for the first time. But I have, of course, been using my Hive gels during training. I use them even during my weight sessions in the gym. If I'm starting to feel a little bit flat, I pull one out and have half a session. It just gives me a little boost of energy, or during my Hyrox session. So Hive Energy gels are definitely my go-to, pretty much like when I'm training, or if I'm 5 minutes out from starting my session and I feel like I need a little something. Outside of that, just making sure that I've basically had enough carbs prior to a session. So things like a bagel or rice cakes, or having a bowl of oats, things like that. So it's all about the energy.
Awesome. Yeah. So talking about their Hive Energy gels, being a nutritionist, you'll be able to explain a little bit about the multi-transport of the carb systems.
Yes.
Can you just talk us through that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So basically when you have a mixture of, so you've got glucose and fructose, which are the two types of carbs, your body can pretty much take in more energy, like a lot easier during a workout. And that's just because they get absorbed in slight different ways in your guts. It's kind of like having 2 lanes of traffic instead of just one. So if you only are using glucose, your body can basically only take in so much before your tummy starts to feel not great, either hurt, or it might come back up, or get the stitch, or maybe need to go to the bathroom, which is not great. So it's usually around the sort of 60 gram per hour mark. But when you combine both together, so the glucose and the fructose, you can actually sort of bump that up to around the 90 gram around an hour mark without getting the tummy issue. So it's definitely a smarter way to do things, as it does give you more energy. You don't have that tummy issue, and you can basically get more out of your training session or your race, which is again why I like to use the Hive Energy gels, because they do both. You don't get the sore stomach, there's no weird ingredients, you're not going to have any funky side effects, and you're just going to have a good race or training session.
Yeah, the absorption seems a lot quicker, eh?
Oh, 100%, like instant.
Yeah, cool.
You're coming back to life.
So if somebody was just looking out at getting started into Hyrox or endurance events, what would you advise they introduce into their nutritional and fueling program?
If they're someone who's starting off, you definitely want to trial a few different things and see what works for you. For example, if you're someone who's completely new to it and doing your very first, say, Hyrox race or half marathon, you don't want to be trying, for example, a gel for the first time mid-race, just because you don't know how your body's going to respond. So you want to be sort of trialing that during your training sessions. And yeah, just basically experimenting with a few different ways of fueling yourself and getting it in nice and early. So yeah, again, you're not trying anything new, and yeah, just trying to really nail the basics.
Yeah, awesome, cool. So talk us through a little bit of recovery after a major event, because you guys just back from Sydney and where you were hugely successful.
Yeah.
I don't think we mentioned, we were talking about it before we started the interview, but a win in the doubles and a win in the solo.
Weekend.
So how's the recovery been since the weekend?
Recovery has actually been pretty good. For some reason, I never pull up very sore, but you do notice your central nervous system takes a bit of a hit. You feel a little bit more tired when you come into the new week after and try and do your workout to go for a run. Sometimes the body just feels a little bit slow. It's like nothing's particularly achy or sore. You just feel, I don't know, like you're not quite kicking into gear. So yeah, post marathon, post half marathon, post Hyrox, you just really want to take that first week nice and easy. Don't do anything sort of crazy with your training. It's almost like you want to treat like a taper week and just focus on the basics. Get in a bit of gentle movement. Make sure you again are eating enough carbs. Go to bed on time. Maybe head up a recovery center if you need that extra TLC. Drink your water. Yeah, just really nailing the basics and being okay with doing less. You're not lazy if you are just chilling a bit more that week. You need it. Your body deserves it.
Yeah, cool. So what helps you stay consistent when your motivation dips?
Yeah, good question.
That's
it. I am definitely someone who suffers with seasonal depression. I absolutely despise winter, and living in Melbourne, winter's gross. I'm sure it's quite similar to a lot of the cities in New Zealand, but I very much just view motivation like one of those things that when it's there, fantastic. It makes getting the job done so much easier, but when it's not, you truly just have to kind of come back to your why. It's like if I'm scheduled to do a run as part of my program and the weather's gross outside and it's cold, I can either do the run and get closer to my goals or not do the run and not get closer to my goals and be ticking the boxes. So I always just view it as it's just something I have to do. And you feel so great when it's done too. And that's what I always remind myself. I'm just like, think about how good you're going to feel in an hour's time and get it done and you won't regret it.
Yeah, cool. So just for any of our listeners that are sort of looking to get into Hyrox again, what would if they had to focus on three things out of each of those, training, nutrition, and mindset, what three things would you say to focus on, like with your training for a start off?
I would definitely say with the training side of things, following a program if you can is just the best way to get the best results. A lot of people, when they try and train for even any event, sometimes they'll just wing it and they'll do a whole lot of random stuff. Problem with that is your body doesn't adapt to it over time because you're throwing a whole lot of random things at it, and you're also a lot more likely to get injured. And even just from a mindset standpoint, if you're doing random things, it's like, am I doing enough? Is it working? I don't know what I'm doing. So I definitely recommend following a training program. And it's also just going to ensure that by your race day, you're going to be locked in because you've been following something for 3, 6, 9, whatever, 12 months. Nutrition, I would definitely recommend creating a nutrition, strategy for yourself. Just having some go-to non-negotiables that you do across the week without fail. So That might look like meal prepping or staying organized, because a lot of people are busy and they just don't have time to cook every meal that they make, which I'm definitely one of those. So if I didn't do a little bit of meal prep twice a week for half an hour, 45 minutes, my nutrition would be all over the shop. So I definitely recommend having a couple of go-to just nutrition strategies that work for you. And then from a mindset standpoint, I guess probably just exploring and diving into knowing that if you're working towards a performance-based goal, it's going to be hard. You're not going to want to do a lot of the work a lot of the time. So just going in with, like you said, expectation of that it's going to be challenging, especially over the winter months, for example. And when you know that it's not a walk in the park, it's not all sunshine and rainbows, you're just a bit better sort of equipped to deal with it. So yeah, would be my top ones of each.
Sounds like preparation's key, eh?
Absolutely. Yeah. The better prepared you are, the more enjoyable your race is.
Anything you do in life, isn't it, really, I guess?
Stay
off the fish and chips.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if people wanted to connect with you and follow your journey, your Instagram obviously is.
Yes, yeah, I'm pretty
active
on Instagram. I would definitely say check that out. I also do have a website that's also linked through my Instagram. That's about to get a refresh. Should be beautiful in a few weeks' time.
Oh, that's exciting. I'll put the links to those as well. And they can engage your services as well online.
Yeah. Need a hand with anything? Training, nutrition, or just to chat? Would love to help.
Awesome. So just a few easier questions just to finish off with. What's your favourite pre-race breakfast?
Oh, pre-race breakfast. This is a bit of a random combination, but it does work. It is rice with banana, honey, salt, and cinnamon. It's just like a lot of carbs. Yeah, it's always heavy on the honey.
Yeah. And your favourite recovery meal or treat for yourself?
Oh, it's usually something sweet that I haven't had in a while. I'm a big sweet tooth, either like a big fat donut or cookie or cake or something. I usually try and steer clear of those foods too close to race just because they're so rich and heavy. Post race, I'm like, yep, give it to me. And then I eat it and I feel sick and I'm like, okay, that was great. No more of those for a while.
Yeah. And do you have a bit of a routine or like a lead up song that gets you hyped leading into Hyrox events? Or
not really a specific song, but I am definitely a huge fan of David Goggins. I just love how savage and to the point he is, and just his mindset. So if I'm ever feeling a little bit nervous or I need a little G up before a race, I always like put on a bit of him, and it just gets me in the zone. I'm like, yep, cool. I'm ready to go. I can do hard things. It's just a bit of pain. You'll be fine.
If it was only that easy.
Yeah. If it was that easy.
And lastly, so what do you find hardest, Hyrox training or running your own business?
Oh gosh, pretty close. I'd probably say running my business would be hardest. Hyrox is, I mean, no, they're both enjoyable, but I feel like business, there's a lot of extra things that you have to do when you work for yourself that are not in your role, but you just have to do it, such as like your GST and accounts and chasing up the not so nice things and doing the content and wrapping up things at the end of the week that you need to do, or else you can't come into the new week. I'd probably say those would be harder. Hyrox training, like, yes, it's definitely hard, but I feel like it's rewarding hard. Yeah, I would say running my business is harder. But I love them both.
Well, thank you so much, Gabby, for giving up your time this evening. Well, it's evening here. It's not quite. It's afternoon over there for you.
Well, yeah, so it's 3:30.
Yeah. And yeah, we look forward to following your progress and
thank you so much.
Your journey and supporting you along the way.
Thank you so much.
Cool.